Hello and welcome to another Inside the Studio. My name's Pete.
And I'm Dan.
And we are from Steadfast Collective. We are a digital product studio here in Southampton, and we want to give you some useful tips and tricks and give you some business ideas on what we're doing and what you can do to grow your business.
Definitely. So this week we're going to be talking about why you should build your digital apps like a city.
So there's a story behind this one.
There is indeed.
So last January I was in Manchester and I was at Old Trafford watching Saints play. And it was a great game, my first time to Old Trafford, really enjoyed it. I've been to Manchester quite a few times. My wife is from Manchester. I know my way around the city a little bit. Good game. Came out into a bunch of people, as you imagine. You know, Old Trafford's one of the biggest stadiums in the UK. Left into a crowd of people, big sign, tram. Great. Get to the tram, we'll get to Piccadilly Station, we'll get back. Got to the tram queue, massive funnel of people. And we're like, right, that's fine, sure. Get to the front and you have to buy a ticket using cash only. And I could not believe I was in one of the biggest cities in Manchester, at one of the biggest tourist attractions in that city, and the main public transport out of that place was cash. It blew my mind.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So we had to leave, try and find a bus, got on a bus, and then just watch all the trams go past us as we were on the bus. And it was just ridiculous. And it got me thinking of how many times have you been in an app and got frustrated because the user experience was so poor, because the person designing or writing the app just thought that they were going to be the ones using it. And it's like they didn't think of a new person coming in.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about that you need to design and build your products in a way that they are tourist friendly.
Yeah. So I think there's like this whole thing where you can get sort of stuck in the status quo and really sort of just see from your own perspective without being able to look inwards.
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting is there's like a few things they could have done to make that like not so much of a problem. First thing they could have done, which would have been like a band-aid like sort of fix, would have just been right at the front just to put cash only before you even got in the queue.
Yeah.
So that would have helped. Like even more than that, what would have been even better is if they could have taken card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really easy to do nowadays. You can literally get like a Square reader or like anything like that, and it literally is like £40 and you can just take payments with a phone, which is just insane that they wouldn't even have something like that there. Mm-hmm. And like even more, they could have had like a cash point or something close by if that was what they needed.
But it was like no one had thought through the journey.
No.
I'm not sure if you've ever had this. This is kind of one of those other real world user experiences things is we've stayed in Airbnbs before where it's clear the person who owns the Airbnb has never stayed in the Airbnb. Because if they stayed in the Airbnb, they would know that the curtains don't actually block any of the light and the window doesn't actually close and the fridge leaks.
Yeah.
Because they would know that, but they haven't stayed there. And it just frustrates me. I'm thinking, if you are building anything, you need to be using it like your user would. So that's kind of our point one is, you need to build your products, build your business, whatever you're doing, in a way where it's accessible to somebody who doesn't even know the first thing about your thing. So there's easy way in. If you've walked into a bank and the first person you met was, some guy who's doing business banking for some enterprise customer, you need to have the stages ready for kind of every customer journey kind of coming in.
Definitely. So let's try and relate that to like an actual website, for example. Mm-hmm. So it might be like you're a shop and you're trying to sell a product and you've got a checkout on there. That checkout might only accept something like PayPal. Mm-hmm. So you've got people coming down, they're like, oh, I really want this thing, this is great. This is a lovely table or a lovely set of chairs or something. I want to buy it right now. They get to your checkout, they go through all the bits, they enter all their address, they enter all their shipping information, they've sort of filled that all out, they've customized all their product and everything. They get to the end and like, oh, I need a PayPal account.
Yeah.
And then they've got to create a PayPal account or go through the checkout, like the guest checkout flow. And it's like, why would you not just have PayPal because that's handy for people that are in that PayPal ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Also just have a card form. Yeah. And just take those details.
Yeah.
And then like the other side of it as well, and you see this more a lot in like different countries, is when you can tell a site's been like built to take payments like internationally but hasn't focused on certain countries. Mm-hmm. So if you look at countries like, I think it's like Denmark, where they have like they basically have like a direct debit system. I
Yeah.
think it's SEPA Pay or something like that, or a deal. And that's like their main payment method. But they just don't use cards and
So
stuff.
Stripe doesn't accept it, for instance.
Yeah, so you can use Stripe, you can set it up with them.
Okay.
But you can always tell when like a site's like, oh yeah, we take payments here, but then they've just got a card form, and you can tell it's just not like integrated with that like community.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And it's those points where you think you need to think it through. And that kind of comes to our point 2, which is you need to think it through, but then you need to talk to your customers. Like, when was the last time you actually asked the person using your product or using your shop or using your service what they think of it? Yeah. So I recently, it was last Christmas, I took out a client and we went for dinner, and I asked them how they found working with us. And they gave me some really useful, constructive feedback on things we could improve on. Now, I wouldn't have got that information unless I asked for it. Yeah. And I think time and time again, people are guessing what their customer wants, where really just ask.
Yeah, I think that goes like, it's not just when things are going well as well, you have to ask when things are going badly.
Yeah.
So when people are like leaving your service or they've like unsubscribed or something like that, then it's a great time to reach out like personally, send a proper actual email and ask what was the sticking points, what could you have done to improve. We did that recently on Shredify, and we got loads and loads of feedback about points that weren't meeting people's needs and like bits that we could act on. Like some bits were just like responsiveness of the site, some bits like we don't have this feature, and some bits where we had this feature and it works great, they just didn't know about it.
Yeah, interesting.
And like getting that feedback, we would never have known that if we never like stepped out and actually asked them. And you've got to do it both ways. So you've got to do it when things are going well and when things are going badly. Yeah. Because you know what's going great and then you know what's going bad, and you can sort of direct and try and bring the bad stuff to the good stuff.
It's good. It's good. And then lastly, the last point I want to bring up is you need to stop, think about what you're doing, and then go again. Sometimes we can be so tunneled vision on something that we need to stop, review, and like measure and then take action again. Yeah. You need to kind of execute in shorter windows than you think you do. You know, we've been in projects and you get so focused, there's so many things to do, you kind of go. And it's not until you kind of come up for air, you go, actually, maybe that wasn't the best way to execute that. Maybe we didn't need to do that. Maybe we should have focused our time on this. But when you are go, it's hard to do that. So I think coming up for air and taking a moment and going, actually, are these things we're doing aligning with our business goals? And this could be for, you know, your high street shop, or this could be for your online business. It's equally as important.
Yeah, I think taking like a step back and sort of trying, so like going up for air and testing things, but not just like testing like little parts and like sort of looking at small parts. Sometimes you need to step all the way back. Yeah. And so, for example, say we're working on like a website and we build like a feature. It might be that we then have to take a step back and go all the way out from registering in to getting into that feature. Yeah. And that's where we notice like, this is a bit sticky, because you have to like set up some information before or something. And then you realize that like this feature's great if you've already been using the site or the app, but not necessarily if you're coming onto it new. Yeah. And sometimes like taking a step all the way back and looking at it like as the whole sort of landscape and the whole field gives you that new perspective of, okay, this feature's great, but what if we like maybe did it slightly different? And doing that like often and early means that you can shape it as you go much more effectively.
It's good. It's good advice, that.
Yeah.
Nice. So they're kind of our 3 lessons kind of from a real world UX issue, where we kind of looked at it and then we think, okay, well, how can we, you know, approach that differently? And yeah, hope that was really useful, really.
Definitely. If you enjoyed this episode, you can follow along on Apple Music.
Yep. Spotify.
Our website.
Yep.
And our social media.
Yeah, you can find the rest of the videos at steadfastcollective.com/videos. We will see you next week.
See you then.
Cheers.
Bye.